Let me tell you something beautiful. I once met a young man who said to me, "Sir, I work hard every single day, but I still don't feel successful." And I asked him, "What's the first thing you tell yourself when you wake up?" He smiled and said, "That I'm tired." And I said, "That's exactly where your failure begins, not in your work, but in your words." You see, your mind is the seed of your reality. If you water it with doubt, you'll grow fear. But if you water it with faith, you'll grow success. Because success doesn't start with money, power, or fame. It starts with your mindset. Your thoughts shape your attitude shapes your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. So today, let's talk about the real foundation of success, your mind. If you wake up every morning and tell yourself, "Today will be hard," your mind immediately begins searching for reasons to prove you right. Every delay, every rejection, every mistake starts to look like evidence that life is against you. But when you wake up and say, "Today, I'll find a way," your mind starts opening doors you didn't even know existed. It's not magic, it's mindset. You see, the mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, it grows. If you plant doubt, you'll harvest fear. If you plant hope, you'll harvest strength. Many people spend their whole lives trying to change their circumstances, but they never change the thoughts that created those circumstances. They fix their schedule, they fix their habits, they fix their routines, but they never fix their thinking. A poor thought life creates a poor emotional life. A rich thought life creates a rich inner world. Even when nothing outside has changed, your perception changes everything. When a challenge appears, a weak mind says, "This is too much for me." But a strong mind says, "This is my opportunity to grow." The same situation, two completely different outcomes, all because of one difference, the direction of thought. And the most fascinating part, your brain listens to every word you say to yourself. Every word you repeat becomes a command. When you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not enough, I can't do this, I'll probably fail," your brain starts to protect you by pulling you away from growth. It convinces you to stay where it's safe. But the same brain, when fed with positive, empowering thoughts, becomes your greatest ally. So, if you truly want to change your life, start by changing your thoughts. Start paying attention to what you think about when you're alone. Replace every self-limiting belief with a thought that gives you power. Because success doesn't begin when the world believes in you. It begins when you believe in you. When your inner conversation becomes stronger than your outer circumstances, that's when the world starts changing around you. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you became stronger from within. So remember, your outer world is nothing but the reflection of your inner thoughts. Guard them carefully, because your mind is always building the reality you live in. The most powerful conversation you will ever have in your life is not with your parents, not with your friends, not even with your mentors. It's the conversation you have with yourself. Every single day, inside your mind, that quiet, constant voice that whispers in the background of your thoughts. That's the voice that decides whether you rise or fall. Most people underestimate how deeply self-talk shapes their destiny. They think success depends on effort, intelligence, or luck, and yes, those things matter. But the truth is, they all begin with one simple thought: can I do this? The answer you give yourself in that moment decides everything. If your mind says no, your body won't even try. But if your mind says, maybe I can, you give yourself permission to grow, to try again. We all have two voices inside us, one that doubts and one that believes. The doubting voice says, "You're not good enough. You failed before. You'll fail again." It reminds you of your past, your mistakes, your fears. But the believing voice says, "You've come this far. You can go further. You failed before, but you learned." That second voice doesn't ignore reality, it transforms it. If you constantly say, "I'm so unlucky," your mind begins filtering every event through that lens. When something bad happens, you say, "See, I told you." But when something good happens, you overlook it. That's how the mind works. It seeks evidence to confirm what you already believe. So, if you keep repeating negative words, your brain starts programming your life around them. You begin to attract situations that match your inner dialogue. But the moment you change your self-talk, everything begins to shift. When you start saying, "I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm becoming," your brain starts working for you, not against you. It releases energy, creativity, and motivation that were once buried under layers of doubt. Suddenly, the same world feels different. Not because the world changed, but because your words changed the way you see it. Think of how you speak to a friend who is struggling. You would never tell them, "You're hopeless, you're useless, you can't make it." No. You'd say, "Don't give up. You're stronger than you think. I believe in you." So why don't you speak to yourself that way? You deserve the same kindness, the same patience, the same belief. Every time you fall, your self-talk decides whether you stay down or stand back up. Negative self-talk builds a cage around your potential, but positive self-talk breaks it open. When you change the way you speak to yourself, you change the way you respond to life. You start to see possibilities where others see problems. You start to find courage where you once found fear. So the next time you hear that inner voice saying, "I can't do this," don't argue with it, upgrade it. Say instead, "How can I?" That small shift from limitation to curiosity opens doors. It turns a dead end into a pathway. It transforms your inner dialogue into a source of strength. Because success doesn't come to the loudest person in the room. It comes to the one who has mastered the quiet conversation in their mind. When your inner voice becomes your biggest cheerleader, instead of your harshest critic, your world begins to transform in ways you never imagined. So speak to yourself with faith, not fear. With encouragement, not doubt, because the words you whisper to yourself every morning have the power to shape the life you live every day. Let me tell you something beautiful. I once met a young man who said to me, "Sir, I work hard every single day, but I still don't feel successful." And I asked him, "What's the first thing you tell yourself when you wake up?" He smiled and said, "That I'm tired." And I said, "That's exactly where your failure begins. Not in your work, but in your words." You see, your mind is the seed of your reality. If you water it with doubt, you'll grow fear. But if you water it with faith, you'll grow success. Because success doesn't start with money, power, or fame. It starts with your mindset. Your thoughts shape your attitude shapes your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. So today, let's talk about the real foundation of success, your mind. If you wake up every morning and tell yourself, "Today will be hard," your mind immediately begins searching for reasons to prove you right. Every delay, every rejection, every mistake starts to look like evidence that life is against you. But when you wake up and say, "Today, I'll find a way," your mind starts opening doors you didn't even know existed. It's not magic, it's mindset. You see, the mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, it grows. If you plant doubt, you'll harvest fear. If you plant hope, you'll harvest strength. Many people spend their whole lives trying to change their circumstances, but they never change the thoughts that created those circumstances. They fix their schedule, they fix their habits, they fix their routines, but they never fix their thinking. A poor thought life creates a poor emotional life. A rich thought life creates a rich inner world. Even when nothing outside has changed, your perception changes everything. When a challenge appears, a weak mind says, "This is too much for me." But a strong mind says, "This is my opportunity to grow." The same situation, two completely different outcomes, all because of one difference, the direction of thought. And the most fascinating part, your brain listens to every word you say to yourself. Every word you repeat becomes a command. When you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not enough, I can't do this, I'll probably fail," your brain starts to protect you by pulling you away from growth. It convinces you to stay where it's safe. But the same brain, when fed with positive, empowering thoughts, becomes your greatest ally. So, if you truly want to change your life, start by changing your thoughts. Start paying attention to what you think about when you're alone. Replace every self-limiting belief with a thought that gives you power. Because success doesn't begin when the world believes in you. It begins when you believe in you. When your inner conversation becomes stronger than your outer circumstances, that's when the world starts changing around you. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you became stronger from within. In a world full of distractions, the greatest wealth you can ever have is your ability to focus. Every notification, every message, every unnecessary worry, they are thieves of your destiny. They steal your attention little by little until your dreams are left starving. Because attention is the currency of success. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and what you focus on grows. Have you ever noticed that when you buy a new car or phone, you start seeing it everywhere? It's not that suddenly everyone bought the same thing. It's that your brain has been trained to notice it. That's what focus does. It filters your world. The same happens with success. When you focus on your goals, you start seeing opportunities that others miss. When you focus on problems, you start seeing obstacles everywhere you look. The truth is, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. If you constantly think about distractions, entertainment, or comparison, your energy follows. You start drifting instead of driving. But when you direct your focus toward growth, learning, and purpose, your energy becomes sharp like a laser. A laser isn't powerful because it has more light. It's powerful because all its light is concentrated in one direction. That's what focus is. Concentrated energy. Every successful person you admire learned to protect their focus. They learn to say no, not because they're rude, but because they know their purpose. They know that every yes to a distraction is a no to their dream. So they guard their focus the way a warrior guards his weapon. They don't let gossip, social media noise, or negative people drain their mental energy. But here's the most important part. Focus is not just about doing more, it's about doing what matters. You can be busy all day and still go nowhere. You can run fast but in the wrong direction. Focus is not speed, focus is clarity. It's knowing what deserves your time and what doesn't. It's understanding that you cannot pour your energy into everything and expect excellence in anything. When your mind is scattered, your progress becomes shallow. But when your mind is centered, your actions become powerful. Think of a magnifying glass. Under the sun, it can set a leaf on fire only when it's still, only when the light is focused. That's exactly how your mind works. When your attention is scattered, your potential remains dormant. But when you focus your thoughts, your dreams start to ignite. Most people fail not because they don't have the talent, but because they are distracted by everything that doesn't matter. They focus on what others are doing instead of what they are building. They scroll more than they study, compare more than they create, complain more than they commit. And yet, they wonder why their life feels stuck. The answer is simple: the mind follows the focus. So ask yourself, what are you focusing on every day? Because whatever you focus on, you feed. Focus on fear, and fear grows. Focus on doubt, and doubt grows. Focus on possibilities, and your potential expands. Focus is a choice you make every single moment. When you train your mind to stay centered on what truly matters, your growth, your peace, your purpose, distractions start losing their power. You begin to notice that your life starts aligning with your focus. Your relationships get deeper, your work gets better, and your mind becomes calmer. Success becomes a natural outcome, not because you forced it, but because you focused on it long enough to attract it. Remember, the universe responds to clarity, not confusion. If you are clear about what you want and consistent in where you place your attention, life has no choice but to move in that direction. So stop chasing everything. Focus on something. Give it time, patience, and energy, and it will grow. Because in the end, your fortune is not hidden in luck. It's hidden in your focus. Every great achievement the world has ever seen started as a tiny, invisible belief inside someone's mind. Every invention, every dream, every breakthrough, before it existed in the real world, it first existed in someone's imagination. The Wright brothers believed in flying before the first airplane ever left the ground. Thomas Edison believed in light before the bulb ever shone. And every person who has ever risen beyond their circumstances did it because, deep within, they chose to believe in something the world could not yet see. Belief is the seed of every success. Without it, even the richest soil of opportunity cannot grow anything. You can have the best plans, the best skills, and the best resources, but if you don't believe you can, none of it matters. Because belief gives birth to action, and action gives birth to results. When you stop believing, you stop trying. When you stop trying, you start shrinking. The human mind is like a garden. Belief is the sunlight that helps it bloom. When you believe in yourself, you give your mind permission to grow. You stop doubting every step, and you start trusting the process. Belief doesn't mean you'll never fall. It means when you fall, you'll rise again, because something inside whispers, "This is not where it ends." Many people wait for proof before they believe. They say, "I'll believe I can do it once I see the results." But that's not how success works. You must first believe without seeing before you can see what you've believed. The world says, seeing is believing. But the truth is, believing is seeing. You have to hold the picture in your mind long before the world paints it for you. When you believe, your entire system aligns with your goal. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions stronger, and your actions more focused. Belief fuels persistence. It keeps you walking when the road is rough. It keeps you hoping when the results are delayed. It whispers to you in the dark, "Don't stop now. You're closer than you think." That whisper has carried people through failure, through rejection, through uncertainty, and brought them to greatness. But belief is not arrogance. It's not pretending you're perfect. It's quiet confidence. Knowing that even if you don't have all the answers, you'll find them. It's trusting that even if today feels heavy, tomorrow will bring clarity. It's understanding that success is not a straight line. It's a journey of falling, learning, and rising again and again, guided by faith in yourself. Doubt will visit you often. It will question your worth, your path, your potential. But when doubt knocks, let belief answer the door. Because belief doesn't eliminate fear. It gives you strength to walk through it. The difference between those who achieve and those who give up is not luck, it's belief. The achievers feel the same fear, face the same setbacks, but they keep going because they believe their story isn't over yet. Think of a seed buried in the soil. For days it's surrounded by darkness, no light, no proof of growth, no sign of life. But deep inside, something invisible is happening, belief. The seed believes it's meant to rise. And one day, that belief pushes through the soil, breaking darkness, reaching sunlight. That's exactly what happens to you when you believe. Your inner strength breaks through the weight of your doubts. So, stop waiting for the world to believe in you. Stop seeking validation from others to begin your journey. The truth is, the world only believes after you've shown results. But you can't reach those results without believing first. It's not the applause that builds success, it's the silent conviction you hold when no one is watching. Believe in your vision, even when it feels impossible. Believe in your effort, even when no one notices. Believe in your growth, even when progress is slow. Because one day, the same people who doubted you will call you lucky. Not realizing that luck was just your belief in disguise. You don't need the world to understand your dreams. You only need one mind, your own, to believe in them deeply enough to bring them to life. Because every mountain you'll ever climb begins not with a step, but with a single, unshakable belief: I can. The people you choose to walk with will either build your future or bury your potential. Every conversation, every circle, every environment you spend time in, it's shaping you quietly, even when you don't realize it. The truth is, we don't just rise to the level of our dreams, we rise to the level of our environment. Your energy, your focus, your mindset, they are all reflections of the people you surround yourself with. You cannot grow in soil that refuses to nourish you. If you're surrounded by people who constantly complain, criticize, or pull you down, your spirit begins to shrink. You start doubting your vision because they doubt theirs. You start limiting yourself because they live in limits. That's why your environment matters more than your motivation. Motivation is temporary, environment is constant. You can listen to a powerful talk, feel inspired for a few hours, and then go back into an environment that slowly kills your enthusiasm. Growth-minded people are like sunlight. They help you bloom. They challenge you without shaming you. They correct you without crushing you. And they celebrate your growth, even when it outshines their own. These are the people who talk about ideas, not gossip, who talk about solutions, not problems, who remind you of your strength when you forget it. When you spend time around them, you start thinking differently, bigger, bolder, clearer. You begin to believe that progress is possible, that dreams are real, that change begins within. But finding such people requires awareness and courage. Because sometimes to grow, you have to let go. You have to release certain friendships, certain habits, and even certain versions of yourself. that no longer serve your future. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You cannot climb a mountain if you're tied to those who refuse to move. Some people are meant to walk with you for a chapter, not for the whole story. And that's okay. The goal is not to hate them, but to thank them for what they taught you and then keep walking. Growth-minded people are not always loud or perfect. Often, they're humble learners, quietly improving every day. They read, they reflect, they take responsibility. They don't blame the world, they build themselves. And when you spend time with such people, something magical happens. You start evolving without even trying. Their discipline inspires yours. Their consistency strengthens yours. Their optimism becomes contagious. It's like standing near a fire. You can't help but feel warmer. There's a beautiful saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because growth requires friction. It requires you to be around people who make you question your limits, who make you uncomfortable in your comfort zone, who inspire you to reach higher. That's not competition. That's expansion. You grow not by proving you're better, but by surrounding yourself with those who remind you there's more to become. Pay attention to how you feel after leaving a conversation. Do you feel drained or driven? Do you feel smaller or stronger? That feeling tells you everything about the kind of energy you're allowing into your life. Protect it. Guard it, because the more you evolve, the more intentional you must become about who gets access to your time and your mind. If you want to be peaceful, spend time with those who value calmness. If you want to be creative, spend time with thinkers and dreamers. If you want to grow spiritually, spend time with people who live with depth and purpose. The people you're around either remind you of your potential or your past. Choose wisely. And sometimes, the person you most need to surround yourself with is you. Spend time alone to reflect, to think, to reset. Solitude is not isolation, it's preparation. Because when you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop chasing connections that drain you. You begin to attract those who match your peace instead of disturb it. In the end, your circle defines your ceiling. You become a reflection of the conversations you have, the energy you absorb, and the dreams you share space with. So choose friends who speak life into you. Choose mentors who challenge you. Choose partners who encourage you. And if you can't find that circle, build it. Start becoming the kind of person you wish to meet. And soon, life will send you people who match that frequency. Because when you walk with growth-minded people, your vision expands, your faith deepens, and your future brightens. They don't just walk beside you. They walk you toward the best version of yourself. Your mind is like a garden. It's always growing something. The question is, what are you planting every day? Are you feeding it with hope, faith, and courage? Or are you feeding it with fear, doubt, and negativity? Whatever you feed your mind will eventually shape your emotions, your decisions, and your destiny. The thoughts you allow to enter your mind are like seeds, and over time, they become the trees that define the landscape of your life. Every day, we are surrounded by voices. The news, social media, gossip, criticism. Each one tries to plant something in your mind. Some plant worry, some plant comparison, and some plant chaos. You cannot control what the world throws at you, but you can control what you allow to grow inside you. That's why feeding your mind with positivity isn't just motivation. It's protection. It's how you build emotional immunity. Just like your body needs healthy food to stay strong, your mind needs healthy thoughts to stay steady. Imagine waking up every morning and choosing what to feed your mind the same way you choose what to eat. You wouldn't willingly eat spoiled food, yet so many people consume toxic information the moment they wake up. They scroll through negativity arguments and complaints and then wonder why they feel anxious before the day has even begun. The truth is, your morning mind diet sets the tone for your entire day. If you feed it fear, you'll live tense. If you feed it gratitude, you'll live grounded. Feeding your mind with positivity doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means training your mind to look for solutions instead of sinking into hopelessness. It's learning to ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why does this always happen to me? It's learning to say, something good can still come from this, even when life feels uncertain. Positive thinking is not pretending that life is perfect. It's choosing to focus on the light, even while walking through the storm. You can start feeding your mind in simple, powerful ways. Read a few pages of an inspiring book each day. Listen to a podcast that teaches you something meaningful. Spend a few minutes in silence, reflecting on what you're grateful for. Write down your goals and visualize them with faith. Surround yourself with people who speak encouragement and truth, not drama and gossip. Every small act of positivity adds up, like drops of water that fill a well. One day, you'll find your mind overflowing with peace, resilience, and confidence. There will be days when negativity feels easier. Days when you feel tired, when you want to complain, when you want to quit. Those are the days your mind needs positivity the most. You don't water a plant only when it's sunny. You water it especially when the soil is dry. In the same way, you must feed your mind especially when life feels heavy. That's when positivity becomes power, not a luxury, but a necessity. It's also important to remember that the people you listen to are part of your mental diet. If you constantly hear words that tear you down, you'll start doubting yourself even when you're capable. But if you hear words that lift you, you'll start rising even when life tries to hold you back. Protect your mental space like you would protect your home. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. And don't just feed your mind with external positivity. Learn to create it from within. Speak kindly to yourself. Forgive yourself for past mistakes. Celebrate small victories. Replace harsh self-criticism with patient encouragement. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love, because your inner voice is the soundtrack of your life. And if it's filled with kindness and belief, every step you take will feel lighter. You see, positivity isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you practice. The more you practice it, the stronger it grows. At first, it might feel forced, but soon it becomes natural. It becomes your default response to life. Instead of reacting in fear, you start responding with faith. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, you start appreciating what's already there. And here's the secret. When you feed your mind with positivity, your outer world begins to reflect it. You attract better situations, better people, and better energy. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you change the way you see it. A positive mind doesn't mean a life without problems. It means